Hey everybody, this is Vidar. Today, when it comes to the show Synthetic Telepathy, the several episodes I'm doing, I'm going to cover mainly the tacticianship of synthetic telepathy and those that are victims of it that are also victims of remote neural monitoring and gang stalking. I'm just going to pick up where I left off. Hopefully everybody gets to catch the introductory video that I released yesterday. I want to talk about first holographic attachment and how that actually takes place. Now, when I speak of holography, this is a semi-tangible holography. This isn't like just a regular holography machine or something like that. This is delivered via satellite. This is delivered anywhere in the world, as a matter of fact, because it's generally GPS. Once you're kinetically assigned, once you have an RFID tag or chip in you, a chip as many call it, or a neurophonic transceiver, or if you have a variety of these in you, or you're just simply biometrically kinetically assigned, they can get you anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter where you go. You could be in freaking Malaysia. You could be all the way down in the outback of Australia. Now, I will say they do have a little bit of trouble in mountain ranges, in really rural areas, off of the grid, off the power grid. They have just a little bit of trouble, but eventually they'll get that GPS and they'll even sign you in there. It just makes it a little bit more difficult for them. They will find you. So if you're thinking that if you're going to move to another state, that may get you away from the local harassment. That may get you away from the directed energy weapons for a while. But they will eventually GPS you in, and they'll start their microwave hearing, and they'll send that holography down. Now, this holography is a deliverer of information. It's just like any other light pulse system. It's just like the signals we get to our cell phone. It's just like cable and satellite. These holographs will work off Wi-Fi signals a lot of the time, and they will become semi-tangible. They're deliverers of frequency, they're deliverers of information, and how they do this is by homing in on the frequency that the human body emanates. Everyone emanates a certain frequency, and within a certain range. Most right in a certain range of gigahertz. And once that happens, they got you. If they sign that in, they'll locate you. They also will sonically play off the sound of your voice. They like it when you talk out loud or say anything, because it makes it easier for them to locate you with the holography. The holographs are full of information. They can appear in a ghostly, like, human form even. Mostly, they are synthetic telepathy orbs. Do they hold human form necessarily? Will everybody be able to see them? No, absolutely not. It takes a over-psyops person or a person that is highly psychic to actually see the forms of these holographs that deliver this microwave hearing and information to the human body. Like I said, this is all GPS. This brings us to adhesion. Adhesion is something I briefly discussed on the video yesterday. They love adhering to alcohol. If you're a drinker, if you like coffee, if you eat foods with monosodium glutamate, corn syrup, salts, a lot of sodium in your diet, if you're on medication, if you're a drug user, if you use tobacco, they can even adhere to the fluoride in water. Not all water districts use fluoride in the treatment of their water. In fact, the area I'm in right now, they're against that. I'm not sure why, but I'm grateful for it. The water is just as clean as any other type of chemical process that they treat water plants. Water plants treat water with. Now, once they adjust their equipment to whatever your diet is, to whatever you've ingested, they will adhere to you. And the holographs are able to attach to your bioappy, as I spoke of yesterday. And that will allow them to lay a luminol coating. Now, how would they do that? Well, they can't inject you with luminol necessarily all the time, though they like doing that. I'll get to that in a minute, but I'm going to stay on track today. I'm not under as much of a challenge, and there's a reason for that. The luminol is ionized into you through this holographic delivery system. It's a light pulse delivery system. The luminol coating, what that does is it allows it to seep into your neurons, which are split via the same process. They split the neurons. Now, they can split these neurons, and they can run several channels off of a neuron. And the luminol coating coats it so they can layer frequency. This is all done via ionization. They layer the frequency in, it seeps in. If you have deep recesses in your brain, this is a lot harder for them to do. If you're fortunate enough to have deep recesses in your brain, if your brain is different, then it's a little bit more difficult for them to do this process. Normally, that's not the case, though. They'll layer that frequency, and you won't be able to hear those frequencies. And a lot of the people doing the harassment online will not be able to hear different frequencies. They're able to layer, and they're able to run several programs or do several things at once with this method. Through ionization, they're able to raise and decrease things in the body. They're able to raise your dopamine level. They're able to raise your endorphin level. They're able to decrease them. They're able, like say you've ingested a lot of salt or alcohol, if you've had a lot of alcoholic beverage, if you've only even had a little bit, say you've only had a drink or two, but all of a sudden, wow, my tolerance is way higher in this. Why do I feel drunk? Well, the reason is that they have actually increased the level of alcohol in your body, the sugars in your body. They can throw people into diabetic comas doing this stuff and make it look like a natural thing that has happened to you. And when in fact they've induced the whole entire thing. The more aware you are of these things, the harder it is for them to have an effect like this on you. Even if you're not a diabetic, they can throw you into a diabetic fit. They can also lower the moisture in the body. They can raise the moisture in the body. Ionization, satellite ionization is not really well known yet. It sounds very Star Trek, I understand that, but this is very real. And this is happening every day, even to people that don't consider themselves targets. People that are around targets, that are involved in targets' lives, become victims of this stuff. And the reason why is because it affects the target around them. They can alter the perceptions of the people around that target. That way, they look at them in a certain manner, normally always negative, and they develop this attitude toward the target. Okay? And if they're in the same house, the same family, they have ways of adapting this adhesion to the diet of the family. Say everybody eats the same dinner. Okay, then they work off what kind of product you might be eating. Say people in the house may even be on the same medicine or similar medicine. They can work off that. They try to home in on this stuff, and they have several options available through the equipment they use in regards to adhesion. And This allows them to deliver microwave frequency directly voice to skull into your ear. And you'll be thinking, well, it's coming from this tower over here. It's coming from over here. Not necessarily. Those help. Those really help these guys. But in fact, you could be in the middle, like I said, you could be in Tanzania. And these people will send spybot holography via satellites everywhere, man. And there's no escaping it. So if you think you're going to move to a foreign country, believe me, a lot of those foreign countries have it worse than we do here in the States. There's targets over in Europe that have been fighting this shit 20 years, 25, even 50 years. And so they've been targeting other places even longer than the United States citizens here, which at first were very limited. Is this a nationwide thing? It's a worldwide thing. Is it always the same people or groups doing it? No. Sometimes this is people that just have a problem with you or a personal vendetta or just don't fucking like you. And like I said, they can raise the bodily levels of MSG, of alcohol, people that abuse drugs or use them. They can... another reason they use this luminol coating is dividing and masking several lobes of the brain for the purpose of mental suggestion and also subliminal subconscious provocation to provoke your behavior in a certain way or to get you to like certain things or to get you to respond in certain ways. And they'll use the repetition process for this, which we'll get to in a minute. Once they've divided the lobes of your brain and the hemispheres with the luminol coating, and they've got their split neurons so that it seeps into when your neurons fire in your brain. It's easier for them to run other programs we'll talk about, but it allows them to also line up with the other people around you, and they can really get happy with the impulse signals. They'll use a person's diet against them, a family's diet against them, as I've said. Then they can just run several different things at once. They will provoke your behavior or get you to do certain things. They're very limited in this, unless they put you under full hypnosis or trance you out or something, or they use your bipolar medication against you, or I'm not saying it's impossible for them to fully possess you. I think they can. I'm hoping they've never done that to me. I hope they've never done that to you, but I won't rule out the possibility. But they will provoke you in order to haze you later. They'll say, hey, why don't you go over there and pick up that bucket of water or that bucket of gasoline and move it over in this area. And they'll be able to measure the depth via the satellite and say there's a fissure in the ground or something, and you trip over it. Okay, you spilled that gasoline and it hits the dog. Now they can attack you, saying, look, you're guilty of animal cruelty. Look what you did. Okay, this is just one example. I mean, they do this kind of stuff all the time to targets, and most of them are completely unaware. And then they'll be like, oh, God, I feel so guilty. I hurt somebody or I hurt an animal. And, and they'll play up off that. They'll play up off your guilt, especially if you're a victim of B2K, voice to skull. One way of doing that's just being aware of the programs in the first place. That's when they really lay in the microwave hearing on you. They'll attach to the lobes of the brain and the nervous system so they can gain access to the vascular system, the organs, your muscle appy, and then they start this thing called matizing. Now, matizing is kind of short for hypnotizing, but there's several different kinds of matizing. There's mental matizing, there's subliminal matizing, there's Also, muscle-matizing. They can get you, the more they convince you of their authority, the more power they gain over you through matizing. And they'll use this matizing to their advantage. And you won't always be able to hear them matize. Very few targets can. The moderator is the one who directs the other ones to do the matizing. He's not, or he or she is not supposed to be heard, the main moderator. However, if you're over psyops or you're psychic, you will hear this son of a bitch back there. Usually this is done right around the cerebral cortex or the top of the crown of the brain with the synthetic telepathy orb, the holography that comes down from the satellite. It'll attach to what, for lack of a better word, the auric field. Your bodily energy, your frequency emanation would be a more scientific term for it. They'll use this matizing to their advantage. And in some cases, this can lead to full possession and mind control, even leading to blunders or death of a target. They could convince you, hey, it might be a good idea to turn the propane on first. Okay? You turn the propane on first, it runs a little too much, and then you light a lighter, boom! You're fucking dead. Okay? They've eliminated you as a threat. You're no longer a target because you're freaking dead. And all the targeters are like, ah! Because they're fucking sociopaths and they don't give a fuck. Okay? So, you gotta watch what you're doing. If you're conscious that you're a target, if you're a victim of synthetic telepathy, you always have to be vigilant. You cannot let your guard down. Your life as you knew it is over. Get used to it. Start adapting, start adjusting, start evolving. Because if you don't, you'll never beat these assholes. Okay, let's see here. R&M murder, remote neural murder, is a crime that is easily hid. It will never be addressed in a courtroom. If you ever find out who your targeters or some of your perps are, don't even mention the psyops until you have enough evidence to back it up. You can mention some of it, but as far as this stuff, remote neural murder, you want to lay off of that until you can absolutely prove it. Never approach a law firm or a judge or even a defense attorney if you're in a situation like that with trying to prosecute these people. Their objective is to keep this under wraps. They don't want people to know how they're killing people. They don't want people to know that would screw up their whole damn program. Remote neural murder and frequency murder can be done via EMF frequencies, which is electric. Microwave. They can microwave you to death. They can, you can stop this by asserting your own authority. It'll absolutely mess up their frequency. And so they won't be able to home in as easily. You'll be able to reverse it even on them and give them a shock back. But I'm going to take care of that in another program. Right now we're going to go over the tactics they use. One thing that aids them, especially if you're a highly intelligent person and you're a highly aware person, if you're psychic, one thing that they will try to do is they'll get you outside. It's easier for them. Or they'll get you under a structure that's favorable to the PSYOPs equipment. And they'll perform what is called a left to right brain surgery, a remote neural brain surgery. And this puts a delay between the left brain and the right brain so that they can convey messages here and allow them to come over here, and then you're just noticing them when really their conversation, their frequencies, their communication has already took place over here, and it diverts it over to here. And the reason why they do this is it allows delay time, and it also allows them to speed up and slow down time in your perception. which has to do with a little bit of quantum mechanics. But they can do this, and they have done it. I'm a victim of this, and you basically... directing this stuff at you, you're screwed until you get away from it. Okay? We're going to talk about time delays a second. Now, they can give you the perception they're speeding up or slowing down time. They can slow you down. They can slow the equipment in your house or your apartment down. They can slow down clocks. Because they got power over the electrical grid, baby. They got their ways, man. And they can really mess you up. They can make you late for work. They can make you late for appointments. They can slow down your body through these frequencies and cause you to walk slower. They can speed them up and increase your heart rate and your blood pressure to induce high blood pressure or heart attack. Let's move on a little bit. Let's go into identity shifting. And identity shifting is when they've got you convinced it's certain people or a certain person running the psyops against you, when in fact it's probably somebody else or a variety of people that you wouldn't have even thought of. They don't really want their identities to be known, and so they will say, well, it's your friend over here, or it's this person in your family, or it's your cousins, or it's this, and it's that. It's these people. You remember this person from your past. They've been following you all your life, and they're the ones responsible for the psyops. Identity shifting is just a tactic to help mentally break you down and drive you crazy, and also add an element of confusion to where you can't really figure this crap out. Mainly it's bullshit. The frequencies are delivered through a variety of things. They can deliver them through radio waves, different bandwidths and channels. They can use sidebands, broadbands. They can use FM, AM. They can use, like I said, they can use ELF, Wi-Fi, EMF. They can use everything from the highest frequency bands and channels all the way down to sonar and subsonar. Now, the beauty for them of sonar and subsonar and ELF is it can induce pain to the body. It can actually crush your lungs and make it look like your lungs collapse. Okay? And they'll get away with it, man. You'll just be like, and you may not even know it's them doing it. You know, I mean, a lot of targets don't. But they have that much control through this frequency manipulation. And they're killing people every day with this crap, man. People just like this are killing people every day. They can induce back pain. They can induce foot pain. They can induce neck kinks. They can induce all kinds of different stuff. And most people are like, well, maybe I should just go get a prescription for pain medication, or maybe I should go get back surgery, or maybe I'm having some kind of muscle spasms back here or something. Really? You can reverse this crap. You can throw that pain impulse out of you. And we're going to get to that. I'm going to do a special on synthetic telepathy combat. One of the types of matizing that they do is hope matizing or egomatizing. They'll play upon the person's ego, and they'll play upon their hopes. They'll play upon their positivity so they can establish a dialogue with you. It's very important for these dickheads to establish a dialogue with the target. That way they can capture your attention, and they can lay in those frequencies even heavier because your mind, your focus is in on them. That's what they want. And unless you're very strong-minded, I recommend you avoid focusing on them. Unless you're on a counter-psyops against them. Because basically, once your focus is on them, they'll sneak in, man. They'll come in, and then synthetic telepathy orbs will just work their way into your muscle tissue and give you the one hell of a dose of pain. They'll make you They'll make you miserable at work, man. They will. They'll make you miserable in your daily task. They can make you miserable sitting down. If you have an injury or an old arthritic problem, they can increase the arthritis in that. They will mess with you. And they get off on it. They think, oh, we're so powerful. Because they are so impoverished mentally that this is what they have to do to get through life. They absolutely have to fuck with other people to feel important. It makes them feel power. It gives them a power kick. Synthetic telepathy orbs are on a rotationary cycle. They shift. Okay? And what I mean by that is they'll have different players on the bioappy online shifting across a person's body. This person over here, this person over here, this person here, whatever lobes they're using, they'll manipulate your nervous system. Right now they're in my spine trying to screw around there. They love to induce suffering. There is ways to rotate these orbs yourself and totally screw them up, throw them out of whack, throw them off track, and then they have to gain their bearings again to put these orbs into alignment back into the rotationary cycle that they are using against you. There's ways of doing this using your mental focus, but you got, like I said, you got to really watch what you're doing. They'll play up off your focus. Some shamans have told me the use of medicinal drugs, even hallucinogenics, can help do this. I have not tried this. I do not know what DMT might do, or ayahuasca, or peyote, or any of these other drugs. There's mescaline. I haven't had the opportunity. I know mushrooms didn't really have an effect for me years ago. Well, I've tried mushrooms in the last couple of years, and it didn't even, yeah, I guess the mushrooms were shitty or something. I didn't have much success with it. There is certain drugs. Now, you can't be dependent upon these. You have to be in control of yourself. You can use drugs as a tool, even prescription drugs. But you need to stay the hell away from them. You cannot become dependent upon them, because if you do, they're going to use this against you in your synthetic telepathy orb, and the next thing you know, they'll be like, take a Seroquel, take a Seroquel. Why don't you take your medication? And it'll all be subliminal, and you'll just start popping them son of a bitches like crazy, and you'll be like, oh, well, then they'll be like, oh, you're a drug addict. That's how they do it. They get you taking the stuff. And then the next thing you know, they feel that they have made you dependent upon it, and then they can attack you for being a drug addict. That's how sadistic these son of a bitches are. You can use amphetamine, prescribed amphetamine. If you're an ADHD patient, there is a time limit, though, that you have. When you first start coming up and your ADD, your focus is back in track, you can use this to manipulate these synthetic telepathy orbs and shift them all the way around. You could throw them all the way across the street. You could throw them clear into another country if you have willpower enough to do it. But there's a drawback, because after a couple hours, that medication sets in. They've they've got onto your bioappy, and they've adjusted their equipment to it. And then they'll start using it against you, so get ready for the drawback. You better have a purpose and a mission when you do these type of things. This is not recommended to targets. If you're on the defensive, forget it. Don't even try this shit. You have to be on the offensive mentally, and be mentally capable and strong. And don't be prone to addiction, because they will use that addiction against you. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about accessing of the memory banks and how they can really screw with a person's head by what they call subconscious memory reversals. They'll get in your brain and pull a voice out of the past and make you think it's that person. And you haven't heard of this person in 10 or 12 years. What they do is they attach one of the synthetic telepathy orbs right back here on the subconscious lobe. And then they start milking that for information. This goes into a database. Then they can start pulling voices out of the past and putting the apps, the voice apps, onto them, lining that up and playing them back to you. There's a lot of computer use in this stuff. There's a lot of processing information. They'll pull memories out of your head and be like, remember? Remember? And you'll be like, oh my God, how the hell did they know that? And that's to throw you off guard and make you think that they're more powerful than they actually are. They're not shit, man. This is your brain, not theirs. And you got to take charge of it. If you don't, you're going to lose. Don't ever let it mess with you. Subconscious memory, it's just a process. It's not that like they know everything. They have their limitations. They really do. They try to get your attention. And it's a great way to get person's attention. Say you have an unresponsive target. Say that target's stubborn or strong-willed or a very astute target. Well, they can use that subconscious memory reversal to just throw you off whack. You'll be like, whoa, how the hell did they know that? How the hell did they know I kissed a girl under a bridge in 1983? How the fuck could they know that? Nobody knows that. Well, they do. Because they've done a subconscious memory reversal on you. Musicmatizing. Musicmatizing, they can play a certain song and they'll repeat it in your head. You get a song stuck in your head. Okay? That's a way to get your attention, and it's also a way to subdue you into thinking everything's hunky-dory so they can move in, lay in frequency for the kill, or lay it in to psyops you and start messing with your mental process. And if you notice it, they'll be like, well, I hate that band. I hate that song, so they can haze you for it. That song's gay. Okay, this is how petty they are. And they know, they're very psychological about their approach, so they know what embarrasses people, they know what hurts people. You got to forget humility. If you are heavily psyopsed, kiss humility goodbye. Because they'll sit there and look at your dick while you're pissing in the bathroom. And they'll talk about it. They'll be like, wow, your penis looks small today. Or wow, your penis looks especially large for a change. Or whatever. Why don't you go jack it? That's how sick and perverted these people are. Okay, not everybody can hear this going on. Some people will just have thoughts in their head and think it's their own thoughts. They try to assimilate the human mind. That's what this is all about. Now, I know I'm going to have to come back and finish the rest of this in another episode. I like to keep these under 40, 45 minutes. But I have so much more information I took down here, and I'm going to share with targets. Before I get off of here, I want to cover just a couple more things. The broadcast game and the audience. They'll convince you they got you in front of millions of people. The whole world's going to know what you did today. They're going to know that you drank 20 beers and that you're a horrible alcoholic. They're going to think you're violent because you got angry today. And they probably are the same. They're probably the ones that were back there in your subconscious going, hey, don't you want a beer? You know you want a beer. Hey, that person over there, aren't they pissing you off? Why don't you go say something to them? And then you might be a smart ass to that person, and then they'll ridicule you for it, man. This is what you're up against as a target. This is what you're up against as a victim of synthetic telepathy. This is what I've had to adapt to. I've not used shielding. I do know how to ground. A friend of mine showed me a great grounding device. Check out his profile. I'm sure he won't mind. His name's Dwight Magnum. Get in touch with OSI. Get on the chats. Start being more community-oriented as targets. Now, I'm guilty of laying off of this, but this is because I've been kind of observing and researching. And I'm going to get back into the game. But I feel my information, and I know other people's information has helped me immensely. One thing they're going to do is play off T.I.'s egos. I've seen them do it. Be ever vigilant. They want us to judge one another. They want to keep the T.I.'s apart. Okay? For my TI friends and for victims of synthetic telepathy, good luck. And whatever you believe in, may it bless you. For my other friends that are not familiar with this stuff or probably think I'm a psychopath, I love you anyway. And for my enemies that want me to think I'm a psychopath, go fuck off. And everybody have a great day.